Hillel Neuer is the Executive Director of UN Watch. It's a Geneva-based NGO whose stated mission is to monitor the performance of the United Nations and which has campaigned against UNRWA. He joins us now from Jerusalem. Thank you for your time. Israel has called this a wake-up call. Can you outline the reasoning behind these bills and the evidence of terrorism links in UNRWA?
Look, thank you for having me. I just want to add some nuance. You indicated that we campaign against UNRWA. The fact is that for 10 years, we submitted reports to the United Nations and to UNRWA about UNRWA teachers, tens, hundreds, who were systematically glorifying Adolf Hitler on social media, supporting terrorism, and some of them clearly themselves members of terrorist groups. And time again, UNRWA's response was not to ask us for more information, but to attack us, to defame us, and to try to deny everything. We didn't call for the end of UNRWA, but you know what? We should have, because on October 7th, we realized, I think everyone woke up and understood what UNRWA really was, certainly everyone in Israel. And it's not the spokesman that was just quoted in the report, Jonathan Fowler, said there were 9 people involved. Look, Israel gave a list in July of 100 UNRWA officials who were terrorists. One of them was Mohammed Marwan Abu Itiwi, on a list published. I myself shared it on Twitter in July. UNRWA did nothing. And a few weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, Israel eliminated this UNRWA truck driver because he was a Hamas Nukba squad leader that on October 7th carried out the massacre next to the Re'im bomb shelter, where dozens of youths were fleeing the Nova Music Festival, including Hirsch Poland.
What do you say then?
A number of them were massacred. Another one were massacred and also kidnapped into Gaza. This was an UNRWA name, Hamas terrorist leader given to UNRWA. They did nothing.
When did you first raise those concerns about that teachers' union leader in Lebanon?
This was on July 4th. The letter was sent to UNRWA. It's around that time that we tweeted it out. So it's his name was on my list, sent to UNRWA. For 4 months, UNRWA did nothing. They were asked about it a few days ago, and they said, well, we didn't have evidence. You know, did they ask people at UNRWA? This is not a one-off. The head of the teachers' union in Lebanon, up until a few weeks ago, was Fathi Sharif. I sent a campaign, you'll see dozens of my tweets in the past 6 months, telling UNRWA that the head of their teachers' union, Fathi Sharif, is a Hamas guy because he was inciting to terrorism regularly, openly on Facebook. They did nothing. And in the end, he was eliminated by Israel in a missile strike. And the day he was eliminated, Hamas said, he wasn't just a member of ours, he was our leader. Fathi al-Sharif was our leader, and they praised his jihadist education. So the head of the teachers' union of UNRWA is being praised by Hamas as their leader and for his jihadist education. And you folks in Australia are paying for this.
Now, the US State Department says that banning UNRWA will create a vacuum that Israel would then be responsible for filling. Does Israel have a plan to fill this void?
Well, I'm not sure that it's Israel's responsibility. You know, the international community
under
has given hundreds
international law,
of
would it not be Israel's responsibility?
Well, it begins with the Palestinians. You know, we can keep treating Palestinians as juveniles that have to live in dependency. Why does the international community treat able-bodied Palestinians for 75 years on a cycle of dependency and nurturing grievance and revenge? Those who were born in Gaza for generations are Palestinians. They live in Palestine, and they're not refugees. They should be told to govern themselves. The same Hamas that used hundreds of millions of dollars to build terror tunnels. And when asked on a TV program in October, a Hamas leader said, they were asked, why didn't you let Gazans go into your terror tunnels underground to take safety? He said, no. Those tunnels are for our fighters. It's the United Nations, and UNRWA has to take care of the population.
So is there no plan then? Do you believe food aid, healthcare will suffer as a result of this vote if it is indeed not Israel's responsibility?
It shouldn't. Look, the larger, obviously there has to be a transitional...
But aid will suffer as a result of this, do you believe?
It shouldn't suffer at all. You know, the UNHCR, which is next to my office in Geneva, knows how to give aid to hundreds of millions of people around the world when it's necessary, in Sudan, in Syria, in Yemen, in Ukraine. They know how to do it. So the notion that UNHCR, WHO, World Food Program, UNICEF can't fill in the blanks is false. And again, the Palestinians need to rule themselves. So I agree with you. In the transition, it has to be done properly, but the international community has to stop supporting an agency that has a pathological agenda, educating Palestinians that they're going to dismantle Israel. That's what led to October 7th. 90% of Gazans, according to Johan Sufi, the former Gaza legal advisor of UNRWA, 90% go to UNRWA schools. 90% of the terrorists are estimated to have been UNRWA graduates. So we can keep paying for this, and all we're doing is perpetuating war and terrorism instead of allowing for a real two-state solution and peace. If we want peace, it's time to put an end to it.
Are plans for that transition underway, that aid that needs to be delivered?
It's up to the international community. They're living in denial. The Australian government, the French government, the British government are funding UNRWA. They are not interested at all in the fact that terrorists lead the teachers' union. Su'ail al-Hindi was the leader of the Gaza Teachers Union. 8,000 Gaza teachers rallied for him. Thousands in Lebanon rallied for Fathi al-Sharif. They are Hamas terrorists, undisputed. Hamas claims them. We are paying for that. So if we want to keep in this perverse logic, to quote the Swiss foreign minister, Ignacio Cassis, perpetuating UNRWA is a perverse logic. It's part of the problem, not part of the solution.
Foreign ministers of many countries, and that includes Australia, they've expressed grave concerns over the implications of these bills. Is this a path to pariah status for Israel?
Well, again, no country should be forced to cooperate with an agency that is infested with terrorists that are bent on massacring, raping, slaughtering, torturing in the most sadistic way, families in front of other family members. UNRWA was a part of this. UNRWA enabled this. Again, UNRWA staff was the commando squad leader of doing this. You send the name to UNRWA for 4 months. They do nothing. They don't care. So aid
they did sack staff members for perhaps being involved in that October 7 attack.
No, the UNRWA is in denial. They did nothing for Mohammed Abu Atiwi. Only in rare instances do they admit, and again, if they let go 9 people, it's because there was compelling evidence, but there are hundreds involved. Anyone can go on our website, unwatch.org, see hundreds of pages of screenshots of UNRWA teachers glorifying Hitler, celebrating the jihad. We released in January the Terrorgram, 3,000 UNRWA teachers in a chat group celebrating the October 7th massacre. It's not a case of a few bad apples. UNRWA is rotten to the core, and the foreign ministries know it, and they're in denial.
Hillel Neuer, the Executive Director of UN Watch, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.